to this project right away, knowing that this money is in the bank. Also, union crews have been hard at work 24/7 since the crash. Operating engineers, the laborers, the carpenters, cement finishers, teamsters, and the iron workers. They're going to help rebuild, and they're doing it right now. And folks here know that the crews finished demolition on Thursday ahead of schedule, and now they're working on emergency repairs to quickly and safely reopen. We're rebuilding America. We're going to invest in America and build a better America than we found. And for the better part of the 20th century, we used to lead the world by a significant margin because we invested in ourselves.
Exciting news. More and more states are in the process of approving inflation relief checks. The House and the Senate lawmakers are continuing to work together to finally reach a deal on a new stimulus payment to be sent to the people. Even people in some states have agreed to more stricter requirements in order to qualify for this relief. And now, over 2 years ago, as more businesses shuttered and unemployment rates soared, while the federal government realized that the crisis just had to send the money back into the people. What this means, folks, is that driven by a surge in oil and gas production, New Mexico is expected to rake in as much as $3.6 billion in new money for the state's upcoming budget year. That major increase might bring another round of tax rebate or even economic stimulus to the people of New Mexico. The governor has also said to be urging lawmakers to use chunks of the one-time payment in oil revenue to go to the people, to go to those in need. A spokeswoman of the governor's office told reporters that the governor is looking for rebates in the ballpark of $750 to $1,500 per jointly filing couple. Yes, that means you'll be getting a stimulus of around $1,000 to the people. What this means, folks, is that this type of package could be ultimately $1 billion. $1 billion of stimulus cash, and the fine details would ultimately need to be hammered out and passed by the state, which is slated to reconvene for a 60-day session in the middle of January. And so now the governor has also signed a new relief program for the state of Minnesota. Also signed his bill in 2023. The bill is set to simplify tax filing, save money for hundreds of thousands, and also include people with student loans and companies that receive the crisis aid. It brings Minnesota's tax code into conformity with federal tax rules. It is also one of the several that legislative leaders have fast-tracked since convening last week, with Democrats now controlling the chambers of Congress. So now the tax conformity bill has sailed through the Senate, sailed through the House with unanimous support. It amounts to over a $100 million tax cut. It's retroactive, so individuals and businesses who qualify can still file amended returns for previous years, just to claim any refund. Joe Biden is now cheering on the news that a key indicator of key inflation for the first time fell in more than pretty much 2 years. Inflation falling, what that means is stimulus cash. He said this: it's clearer than ever that his policies are working, and that this morning we have good news. While consumer prices are still high than they were a year ago, the pace at which they are slowing is beginning to improve. First of all, it's down 9.1% from the summer. Inflation is now at its lowest level since October, and the overall consumer property tax cuts, rebate checks, and reducing the amount of income taxes paid. In the case of Mississippi and Arkansas, cutting state income tax altogether is their plan. But CBS has noted that there are a number of reasons that state lawmakers have provided for the move. It includes making their states more economically competitive, boosting their growth, and boosting taxpayers who are struggling with inflation. For instance, the Georgia governor signed a bill that would give people in Georgia state income tax refunds. That means you can get up to $500 in your bank account for just owning a home. Single taxpayers and filers married jointly who will get $500 and $250 too as well. And head of household filers will get $375, and married people who file joint returns will get an additional $500 based on individual or couple's tax liability.
That we felt confident our resources could last until the beginning of June.
Okay. All right, I'm going to move on. I did reclaiming my time. I did read the statements. You had said June 1st or the following weeks, at which then tightened up, and that's fine. That's not what
That's
we're
been
here today about.
consistent,
The,
and it was consistent with outside
reclaiming my
forecasters.
time on this, because I do want to hit on the International Development Finance Corporation as well, but I am also going to say something, repeat something to you that I've repeated to every other person from.
We have a ton of news about the fourth stimulus checks, Social Security benefits, SSI, and SSDI. A ton of news about the fourth stimulus payments are coming in. I have a lot of information that I'm going to share with you guys today in this video, so continue watching. The several lawmakers, everybody in Congress, have discussed new inflation relief checks for the people. So if you reside in states like Minnesota or Massachusetts, well, you may qualify for at least another stimulus check this year. It comes as budgets are being finalized, states are planning to use the budget surpluses for another round of checks. So a lot of good things are happening in Congress, and a lot of stimulus payments can actually be sent out faster than we ever thought in the history of our lives. So, as I was saying, it's official. The governor in several states like Minnesota have actually hoped to include a tax rebate in the state's upcoming budget. It comes from the announcements of the state's budget. It's set to go for January 24. And according to the Associated Press, well, the budget will propose indexing state aid for school districts just to help combat inflation. So Waltz has told reporters that I think people are feeling inflation. Even though it might be cooling a little bit, there's a slight sense of urgency among people to get something done. And that's good here. Something should be done because the Governor Waltz's original pitch for the tax rebates has been quite generous for a lot of people. It gives single filers, for instance, a lot of breathing room, a lot of time to just think about what they can do, and now the government has already signed them into a second term. So, though not all of these fellow lawmakers share the priorities, though, because the House Speaker and Majority Leader claimed they wanted to prioritize tax credits for families, giving the families $3,000 for every child 5 or younger, with a cap of $7,500. Even the Massachusetts governor and top lawmakers signaled that a clear picture of potential tax relief may not even emerge until at least the end of January, when a key final metric is actually heard of. So one governor, for instance, said their teams are working closely through numbers and evaluating what's possible. They said that we told reporters how important it is to make sure that we're doing everything we can for the residents of the state. And Healy on the campaign trail had vowed to make progressive permanent tax relief her day one priority. She also had largely echoed support for the now former governor Charlie Baker's sweeping tax cut proposal last year. And low, middle, and income residents have all received some stimulus payments just to stop the crying at least. But now the IRS said it recently finished correcting tax returns, filing that for 2020. And so the IRS said, folks, that the average tax refund is around $1,200, with tax agencies sending a total of $15 billion back to the taxpayers. So while taxpayers were sent letters from the IRS just to inform them about the fixes to the 2020 tax filings, well, tax review came due to the American Rescue Plan. It was signed by Joe Biden, we all know that, and because the IRS, it reviewed returns filed by workers and even other people who have jobless aid as income. So the IRS told CNBC that some taxpayers received refunds, while others received overpayment applied due to taxes or other debts. In some cases, the